Following the original workshop on the Valkyr Rework, D have made some initial changes. Quite unusually, they also extended a limited invitation to me to try out the changes on a test build. The footage you'll see here is from my own modding and gameplay on that test setup. As it's a test, anything is still subject to change. To be clear, this is not sponsored or paid in any way. Let's talk about what changes have been introduced so far, what's good and what's lacking, and at the end of this video, a short self-reflection on my Wednesday livestream going over this. I'm TheKengineer, let's solve a practical problem. Quick recap of the workshop details for those who missed it or just need a summary. Valkyr's new passive grants a melee damage bonus, and with sufficient bonus, a death ward too. Valkyr's base health and armor is increasing significantly. Ripline is more responsive, enduring, plus becomes a small initiator and grouping tool. Warcry is shedding the slow effect, is becoming more fluid to cast, no longer relies on range to apply the buff to allies, and is becoming recastable mid-duration. Paralysis is gaining Warcry's slow effect, is becoming 10 times more expensive to cast, and will apply melee damage vulnerability to affected enemies. Finally, Hysteria loses its invulnerability, instead causing Warcry's armor buff to triple while melee is equipped. The damage modifier on Valkyr's talons is roughly doubled, alongside a more smooth moveset. Various attacks are gaining 4 slash procs, the energy drain is coming down, but also the healing is moving from a percent base per hit to a strength modified flat value per hit. The fundamental design of each ability isn't changing. This is more of a refresh than a rework, certainly far less significant than the changes to Grendel, and more like what happened with Nyx. That much I covered in the initial video on the workshop. One of the biggest concerns is around Valkyr's survival. As before, no amount of damage reduction can compete with immortality. Valkyr is going from not taking damage during her 4 to taking damage. With that in mind, I tested that survival. Running on EDA solo with half duration, reduced armor with each ability cast, and extra energy drain from nearby enemies, she proved to be resilient. Even when I made mistakes, especially the mistake of running out of energy, those were not punished with irrecoverable death. Part of that survival comes from some further buffs D have added post-workshop, including increasing her max health at level 30 to double what it is currently, increasing the Prime's armor to 1000, increasing the healing per hit from 50 times strength to 100 times strength, reducing the passive death ward threshold to half the bar being filled instead of 3/4, and lastly, when the death ward is triggered, the invulnerability lasts for 5 seconds, not 3. As for the onerous energy drain on Hysteria, that got reduced in the workshop from 15 per second to 10, it has been reduced again to 5 per second, putting it on the same level as Titania's Razor Wing. So that's the nominal changes. How does it actually play out? On the positive side, she feels smooth, strong, and sufficiently resilient. She can heal well enough to tear through enemies quickly, and really couldn't give a damn about the existence of acolytes. Ripline as an initiator tool works to draw her into the next attack. Recasting of Warcry, especially to pick up the benefits of conditional strength, worked a treat. The passive damage buff was both easy to stack and easy to maintain. Perhaps most crucially, it felt fun to play. Whether dealing with Demolisher Necromechs or EDA ones, Gruslings, Grineer, Corpus, Infested Tekrot, she felt smooth and powerful. But she does still have drawbacks. These drawbacks I've already given as direct feedback to DE, and I do hope they get addressed. With Ripline, the range on it is still small. Valkyr is not a frame that really wants to afford to spend out on range. While the rework means a neutral range is comfortably attainable, going beyond that is still a cost to other aspects of building her. Without that, the grouping effect from Ripline is still limited to just 7 meters. If her talons are equipped with primed reach, she has a melee range of 5.15 meters, leaving very little room actually covered by Ripline's effect. It's an initiator, but the base range is still low and hard to justify increasing. With her death ward, its trigger was very quiet. I didn't notice the first time it protected me when using an intentionally less resilient setup, a stark contrast to protection of Wukong's passive for example. I'd be happy to avoid the near full screen domination of Nidus' death ward effect, but a clear audio-visual announcement that all other defences have failed and I just nearly died would be good. Recharging it, however, was no problem at all. Perhaps most stark is paralysis. No changes have been made since the workshop to this ability, at least not made ready for my testing, leaving it at a 10-fold energy cost increase. In exchange, it gained nothing that Valkyr needs or can use, to be very honest. Even when it comes to damage attenuated enemies, damage vulnerability from other sources like Euredes sea snares doesn't make killing them any easier once the active DPS attenuation kicks in. Out of all of Valkyr's kit, Paralysis is getting a huge nerf due to this energy cost and makes it entirely prohibitive to consider using. I just cannot justify it over any number of subsumed abilities. In fact, for the majority of my testing and unintentionally all of my saved recordings, I have it subsumed out for Lycof's hunt for reliable orb drops instead. My takeaway is that the survival side of Valkyr is, for all standard content, shaping up to be no concern at all. Her health tank held up well. Moving into extremely high level content, she will no doubt find that it begins to fail. At that point, she'll be reliant instead on her death ward and less so her shield gate. Due to the 5 seconds of invulnerability guaranteeing she'll begin to regenerate shields during a death ward, this means she'll functionally have at least 6 seconds of immortality on taking lethal damage. Unless there's only one enemy around chock full of threat, active players should be able to recover in that position. In some ways, this is counterintuitive to the refresh she's being given. If you're active enough with Valkyr's attacks, by all theory you can rely on that death ward forever. From what Reb said in the earlier dev short on the topic, that seems to be intentional. Health tank provides the bread and butter for typical gameplay, existing as a tank to sustain against normal threats and survive lulls in combat opportunities. Death ward is there for extremely high level content to avoid irrecoverable one-shots and provide a level agnostic defense which I guess can accommodate level cap. I didn't make time to test a level cap run. On top of all this is the natural effects of a shield gate, which is its own special brand of strong by default, the innate capability of melee to block various attacks, and her broad mobility. This gives her 5 differently scaled layers of defense, with the core being that health and death ward. Regarding abilities, Paralysis is in a bad spot, and Ripline's grouping effect is currently too small for a frame that feels like there's no budget for range. That's 1.5 abilities not in the right place, plus a tank nerf, but she's gaining fluidity, damage, and energy economy buffs. There are clear areas she could be better. Still, what works did feel fun. It's one thing reading about the changes, but it's another to get hands-on experience with it. With that being the situation for Valkyr, I want to talk about my Wednesday stream releasing some first look footage and opinions on this. To be bluntly honest, I'm embarrassed to talk about it, but this seems better than silence. Having accrued my own recordings of her gameplay and collected my thoughts on how she felt to play, especially regarding how difficult it would be to keep her alive, I went into that stream with a positive outlook. I wanted to show how she sustained even with multiple mission modifiers against her and some unintentional misplays from me in those missions. It was real, actual gameplay that felt fun to me. Naturally, some viewers were less hot on the picture I was trying to convey. What was written by whom there is immaterial right now. I found myself in real time showing the experience I was positive about, coming up against a small number of disappointed or disruptive comments, and I did not take it well. I became curt, rude even, and did a poor job of conveying anything close to the experience I intended. Lost in the topic of survivability, I didn't provide a well-mannered and balanced stream. Whoever I was responding to individually in any comment, what I was responding to, none of that matters right now. I gave a bad stream, and that has definitely soured an already controversial topic. That's on me, and I'm sorry. I won't try to deflect or deny, no claim of please don't let this cloud your judgment of me because, well, it's my stream run entirely by me. I don't agree with some of the negativity around the refresh, but I don't feel good about how that stream went and the hostility I showed to some viewers. Shortly after the stream, feeling this embarrassment and regret, I enlisted the VOD. I realise now that added fuel to the fire for some, painting the whole stream even worse as, without the video to see, all that's left is imagination and exaggeration of events. I have relisted the VOD on Twitch and it's also available for viewing on YouTube, link below if you want to see. I'm not any less sorry or embarrassed, rather I'm restoring the context. This was not a sponsored stream or any kind of paid involvement. It was given no script nor restriction on my feedback and opinions. DE, seeking feedback on their work, invited myself as a creator to voluntarily test, and permitted me to show and talk about that testing at the earliest possible opportunity. For their own reasons, whatever they are, I was given clearance to share this before they'd announced any update themselves. It's not some dastardly plan to be a paid shill. No, I'm just some guy on the internet, this time making a mess. For all undue negativity I've added to that, I'm sorry. To viewers I was dismissive or rude to, I'm sorry. That experience is on me. All I can do now is apologise for the poor experience, and I'll continue to try to do better with the videos and streams I bring in the future. As ever, fight well, Tenno.